We're gonna take a look at everything he can do after SPD. Boss Dynamite is, and as a bonus, we're gonna take a look also at Lariat, because Lariat is also confusing for some people the things you can do, especially regular Lariat. This is light SPD, plus 30. Everything else, including OD, is plus 28. So technically, the Oki you have here is the best you can get for SPD. The first thing is the most obvious one. After SPD, you get driver sweep. You have to delay the drivers a little bit, let Zangief go for a few frames, and then go for it. If you hit it, you're plus 36. Normally, the opponents will want to go with a back rise, because it would make more sense, so they're not closer to Zangief after the recovery. If you land something like this, which is probably the easiest thing to land, you can drivers again, and continue the pressure. With this, you can go for a delayed headbutt, standing medium punch, a standing heavy punch, medium kicks. It's always a guess, of course, but you're gonna be relatively close when the opponent recovers again. It has one significant downside, which is drive impact. There's nothing you can do here. Of course, they can also low parry. Roughly, you're gonna be -9. There are some characters that can actually punish that -9 with supers, so you do have to be careful, like Chun-Li or Luke or Honda. I think Honda should be able to get you here. Some characters have really good sweeps. I would say it's the easiest thing to do without risking too much. That being said, the reward is also pretty low, and that is a standing medium punch or crouching medium kick. These two function more or less in the same way. That means even if they wake up with something, and you go for it, you're gonna get a poke. Here, your target combo does not work. Same with crouching medium kick. That being said, if they wake up with drive impact, you can drive impact back if you use a standing medium kick or crouching medium kick. There we go. A good opponent will probably just gonna block it, because there's no fear here. They're only gonna take plus frames, and the plus frames you get are not necessarily that threatening at that distance, but that's what you get. They can also wake up with parry, and guess which one of the two, and they can parry it, maybe perfect parry it if they guess correctly, but that's it. They cannot backdash nor jump. This is not easy to do, but with this one you're gonna cover certain buttons and DI. You should lose to backdash, but we have to test. It's not easy, but believe me, you can do it. There we go. You have to press it in a very specific way, but you can beat drive impacts. Also, you can beat buttons, of course. It's a very specific standing heavy punch. And you can catch backdashes, by the way, and back jumps. When he moves forwards for the first time, they have to press standing heavy punch. It's not easy to do, but technically you can use it here. Now we're gonna go for the actual things that are gonna depend on several things. The button the opponent goes for when they wake up, and how much you delay your drive rush. How much you let Zangief run. Let's start with SPD. There we go. You can technically also use super level 3 here, and you have to let it go. There we go. When Zangief starts moving, you do the 720, and then you just wait and press punch. It's not hard to do once you get used to the timing. Now this is the issue. It loses to backdashes and obviously jumps. That should be obvious by now. Now you can beat certain buttons, especially crouching light punches, crouching light kicks that are very short, you can beat them. However, certain buttons, also from certain characters like Ed, now that Lee is here, Ed has a really good crouching light kick. Honda has a really good crouching light punch. So there are some characters with light normals that are longer than usual. That can be inconsistent against those. So be careful, this doesn't work against every single button. The other thing is that this can beat DIs, because of course it's a command grab and the opponent is going for a DI, so you're gonna grab them. Drive rushing twice. Now what's the issue with drive rushing twice is that you're spending way too much meter, and the best thing you're gonna get is SPD, so you're not gonna recover necessarily the meter you're investing into the situation. But that is something that can happen, especially against someone backdashing, because with back jumps you have to react with super level 1, but if someone is backdashing you might be able to catch them with a double drive rush, depending on the timing. This can be risky against more buttons than just a raw drive rush SPD, because they have more time to press a button. But the opponent has to be kinda waiting for it. But it can happen. Super level 3 is also a thing you can do here, by the way. Knee is interesting in this scenario because in the same way as SPD, Knee works with certain buttons at certain ranges, and the timing can vary. For example, if Ryu wakes up with a 4-framer, crouching light punch, you can do it with a little bit of a delay. Over here, delay, boom, boom, and you're gonna get him. If you use that same timing for a crouching medium kick, for example, you can whiff. So you have to be a little bit closer to the opponent for the crouching medium kick. If you do get the knee, very likely you can get Hell Stab Lariat. Maybe the Hardbox change affected that? It did, but before the Hardbox change, it was already an issue. It was not universal. So it's just worse. It loses to backdashes and jumps. As you can see, nothing is really guaranteed. You have to commit to something. Of course, there's the super secret option, which is doing nothing. And this is useful for a few things. One is doing absolutely nothing, and the other is actually doing something, but it technically doesn't move, whatever you're doing doesn't move Zangief forwards that much. You can do a raw dry rush and just press down back, or use crouching light kick or throw. Well, technically you can do stomps, but stomps are the worst option, because you recover very slowly. This is particularly useful when the opponent might go for a reversal like a super or a DP. Yeah, you can also bait buttons. And DI, you have enough frames to react to the DI, so that's also something you can do. That's true. Something I haven't really covered are Shoryukens. As you might expect, they beat a lot of options. In fact, more options than you think. For example, the standing medium kick, crouching medium kick, they lose to a DP. So with this one, you have to be extra careful. Obviously, you also lose with SPD, you lose with the driver's knee. Almost everything loses to that option. The only thing that will save you is just dry rushing to nothing, and sometimes dry rushing twice. Because that can happen. I might be forgetting something, but those are mostly the options you have. I forgot the Season 1 wheel kick. Remember that one? Well, this is punishable, but I guess if you're in burnout, you can go for this. I don't know. Remember this one? I forgot about that one. Yeah, well, you're punishable in some scenarios. You lose to DI. I fought a dude going crazy with Siberian Express after SPD. That's just wild. That is just wild, but I guess you can do it. It'll depend, because doing this is absolutely unhinged behavior. They're wasting 3 dry meters plus the 4th one because they have 2 drivers here for decent Oki. I like the Oki of Siberian Express. We're not gonna cover Siberian Express or Russian Suplex. Russian Suplex, Siberian Express, OD Lariat, Super Level 1, they all have really good Oki. This is botched Oki. You're plus 19. You're a little bit closer, but you're not plus 30. This kinda limits the options you have. Knee is probably the worst one in this scenario because you're way too close, you're not that plus. It's pretty easy for your knee to be stopped by buttons. That being said, if they respect you, you can get a pretty meaty knee. They can also backdash and back jump, so there's that. How about SPD? Well, this is a little bit hard to do. You have to go for a very specific SPD in a very specific range. You have to delay it, but not delay it enough so you can actually grab them. I'm beating a 4-framer now. If they go for a crouching medium punch, probably I might not be able to do this. It's very hard. There we go. The timing is very strict. And of course, as crouching medium punch. Against crouching medium kicks, you're pretty much screwed. It is important to say, again, because Lee is here, he might know this, but there are some characters that can wake up with lights and they completely avoid every single option from this, or most of them. What else do you have? Well, you have buttons. The standing heavy punch is way too inconsistent here to do, so I don't necessarily recommend it, but you can do sweep, and sweep is weird. If they wake up with a crouching light punch, a 4-framer, sweep will actually trade. And that trade is technically good for you, because you trade and it's plus 48? Plus 48. How about that? Then of course drive rush again, or do a regular dash to be close to them. Oh, my bad. If they press a medium, like a 6-framer, you will beat them with a sweep. Now crouching medium kicks, I'm not sure, because I don't do this Oki very often. Yeah, you can beat them. That being said, they can block it. And that sweep will be -9. You can also go for the drive rush into nothing. Now, here you have to be careful. If you go into a drive rush throw, drive rush crouching light kick, you might not be able to react fast enough, or you might not be able to recover fast enough for a super. And even then you can get hit. My bad, because you are +19. So if you drive rush and they reversal, there's nothing you can do. You don't have enough frames to stop. You need 22, 23 frames to stop your drive rush. In this specific scenario, your option is gonna be kinda weird. You might need to do super level 2 to survive whatever super they're going for. I mean, it's weird, but it works. Same thing. I guess against a Shoryuken you can go for super level 1 if you want to be wacky. But you absolutely do not have enough frames to block. Oh, the drive rush. It might win against Ed. Yeah, against Ed you can do it. Obviously the OD burst gives you the same Oki, it's just a tiny bit more damage. It's the same thing. I said Lariat, but as you guys know already, probably by watching my videos or the streams, the Oki of OD Lariat is pretty good. You do have 2 drivers again, unless you're in the corner, and you can get pretty good Oki. In the corner, of course, you don't have to do the drivers, you can just dash. And in any other part of the scenario that is not the corner, you need to drive rush again, and you can continue the Oki with several things like Spinebuster, SPD. The question here is regular Lariat. What can you get actually from regular Lariat? Ideally close hit regular Lariat, which is the one you get usually from Hellstab, very close, or Headbutt Hellstab Lariat. Boom. +27. This is not the best Oki. Your range is kinda whack here. You absolutely need to drive rush. You can get the full target combo if you drive rush. So that's pretty good. If they wake up with a crouching medium punch, we need to test again. You need to delay it a little bit in order to get the full target combo. There we go. So a delayed drive rush standing medium punch is generally decent. They should not be able to backdash this. You can still hit them. However, this makes the rest of the target combo whiff. Crouching medium kick works in the same way, so you're gonna get the same thing. SPD is definitely gonna be a thing that you might not gonna be able to get. You need to delay it way too much. And even then you're not close. You're definitely gonna be risking yourself if you delay your drivers so much so you can get SPD. Crouching medium kick is better to test. Yeah, this can be pretty rough. This is rough. But I guess you can get it, however the health stab will not connect on this. You're close enough, and even the Lariat can whiff. Yeah. That being said, if they don't press anything, you need to delay a bunch that knee in order to get it really meaty. You might be able to get something here, but only plus frames. Because if you delay it too much, you're gonna get hit. That standing heavy punch is +1. I guess if you think they're not gonna press anything, you should go for the SPD here. Now there's one thing I haven't touched in this scenario. You can technically also do it in Borscht, which is the super level 3. This is gonna be a slightly difficult to do if you don't know your timings, because your super level 3 has good range. I think it's around medium SPD, if I remember correctly, because I tend to confuse the range of the CA, which is longer. CA is as long as light SPD. If you know they're gonna press a button, you can definitely use super level 3. Yeah, baby. The same thing applies to Borscht and, well, technically also to light SPD Oki. Your CA has very decent range, so you can just buffer it while you're dry brushing. As you might imagine, this loses to backdash and jumps. You need to commit. Commit to the situation. Crouch like kick is fine. This is the reason why I don't recommend throws, because you do recover in a lot of frames. And of course you can double dry brush. I don't know if I recommend this one, but you can definitely double dry brush. If you're wondering how to do double dry brushes, just hold the parry, well, the two mediums or your parry button. Press forward, and hold back to cut the dry brush, like this. And keep holding the two mediums, and then just press forwards. Like that. That is so dumb. That is so unbelievably dumb, but you know what? It will work.